Guys, don't panic. Just keep your cool. But Star Wars The Force Awakens comes out exactly 1 month from today. That is absolutely insane. And even though I did say when Retro Wednesday would return, I would review the original Star Wars trilogy, but first we got to pay our respects to Akira Kurosawa, particularly The Hidden Fortress, because without this movie, there would be no Star Wars. The Hidden Fortress was directed by Akira Kurosawa and distributed by Toho Company Limited, which is the same studio responsible for Godzilla. It starts off with two peasants, and through them we learn that there's this giant war going on between two sides. The peasants soon come across this valley of gold and want to take the gold for themselves because, they're peasants, but they are forced to accompany a man and a woman and try to escort it across enemy lines to another base. The two peasants know that the man on this journey is General Makabe, played by Toshiro Mifune, a famed general from basically the good guy's side of the war. But they don't know that this young girl who's a mute is actually Princess Yuki, and they're trying to smuggle the gold to basically her hidden location, or Hidden Fortress, as the title suggests. So it's a simple journey film trying to get one little valuable item to a special location away from the enemy. So if I never talked about Akira Kurosawa on this channel, it's kind of almost inexcusable because he is one of the greatest directors that ever lived, especially Japanese directors. And he's made many of the most influential films ever, like Rashomon, The Seven Samurai, which many people consider to be his crowning achievement, and the film he's most known for, and then Yojimbo, which is personally my favorite Kurosawa film. His movies are so influential, and the people who discover him, particularly those who want to be in the industry, discover him through film school. I was actually exposed to Kurosawa before film school because my dad would show me a lot of these old classic movies. The Hidden Fortress was a movie I didn't see for the first time until just this year, and it's another Kurosawa masterpiece, honestly. It's got a lot of the great elements that make a Kurosawa film, one of which is the cinematography. This was Akira Kurosawa's first feature film in widescreen, or Toho scope, as it was referred to back in the day. And that leads to some amazing shots for its time. One of the big traits that Kurosawa has in his cinematography is you'll have this giant open area. You have two characters in the foreground, one character way in the background, yet everything is in focus. It's one of the aspects that makes Kurosawa an auteur filmmaker. Like, usually when I see something like that and it's a Japanese film, that's easy for me to identify that it's a Kurosawa film. And given the fact that Rashomon and Seven Samurai were filmed in full screen, the fact that this movie's in widescreen makes it even more beautiful, along with the gorgeous black and white. The score by Masaru Sato is really great. He's one of my favorite Japanese film composers ever, and he would be Kurosawa's regular film composer sometime after Seven Samurai. The score here is really good. It fits the tone of the movie, and the theme is memorable. I mean, it's been used in a trailer for King Kong vs. Godzilla, but I don't think it's one of my absolute favorites Masaru Sato scores. I mean, personally, my favorite of his scores are Yojimbo, Ebirah, Horror of the Deep, and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. I can hum the themes in those three movies more than I can here. It also has many great performances. As I mentioned, Toshiro Mifune is in this movie as General Makabe, and Toshiro Mifune was one of the great Japanese actors of that era, and he, to Kurosawa, is basically what Leonardo DiCaprio is to Martin Scorsese today. These two talents would just work together a lot until they're falling out when Kurosawa's Redbeard came out. Mifune does a really great job, and personality-wise, he plays a much different character here than he did in Seven Samurai. Like, here, he's more strict and authoritative, where in Seven Samurai, that's another review for another time. Toshiro Mifune is always good in anything he's in. And the two actors who play the peasants are really good. One of those actors is another Kurosawa regular, Minoru Chiaki, who played one of the seven samurai in Seven Samurai, and he was Kobayashi in Godzilla Raids Again. And, you know, being the Godzilla nerd that I am, I obviously have to point that out. I love the chemistry that these two actors have with each other, and it's just a lot of bickering, like fighting over each other. They're the heart of the movie, and they have a lot of the comedic elements. It's just entertaining to watch the two of them. And I also love the way the story is told from the perspective of these two characters. It's a really clever way to have the story be told through these low-life supporting characters, and it would help inspire one of the greatest science fiction films ever made, but we'll get to that a little later. The action scenes are very well shot and well done. Like, there's a scene involving General Makabe going after several horsemen, and, like, the horses are constantly running, but he manages to catch up to them and slice the horsemen off the horse, and they fall and they keep running. It's very exciting, fast-paced, and it just really shows that Kurosawa can shoot action well. For today's audiences, it might be a little tame. Like, a lot of the action scenes in Kurosawa films are a little tame by comparison to movies today, but they are still really fun to watch and well executed. Now, is there anything I don't like? Well, I mean, it's hard to say I don't like it, but there's an aspect to this actor that I don't like. And that, sadly, is the actress who plays the princess, Misa Uhara, who plays Princess Yuki. While I think she's good throughout most of the movie, whenever she has to speak, she shouts all of her dialogue. There's a scene near the end of the movie where General Makabe is dressed in samurai armor, and the peasants don't recognize him at first until he says, "Hey, it's me." And then the princess goes, "Wait, is that really you? I didn't even recognize you right there." And I'm not exaggerating when I say every line of dialogue she says, she shouts it. It's like, you gotta calm down, lady. This person's right next to you. You don't have to shout everything you say. It's not even like points where she's angry. No, even when she's happy, she has to shout her lines. Which is why, and I'm probably gonna sound like a giant douchebag for saying this, but it's why she's better when she doesn't speak. Hear me out. When she has to play a mute and doesn't speak, a lot of her acting comes from her eye movements and body language. There's a scene with her, General Makabe, and the two peasants where they are in a small village. She has to keep her cover, but through that scene, she experiences firsthand basically the trauma that these villagers are going through during this whole war. And she's very compelling there. Like, whenever she doesn't speak, she shows a lot more compassion, especially when she's around people who are, like, below her class. It sounds really weird, but when she doesn't speak, she's good. When she speaks, it's a little odd. Now let's get into the elephant in the room here. The inspirations for Star Wars. Like I said, the story of the Hidden Fortress is told from the point of view of the two lowest characters, these peasants. Similar how the opening of Star Wars is told from the perspective of the droids, C-3PO and R2-D2. But aside from the method of storytelling, the two stories of Star Wars and the Hidden Fortress are completely different. Though there are some similarities, I mean, both movies have a princess, but Princess Leia is more of a stand and fight kind of girl, as George Lucas said on the interview he did for the Criterion release of the Hidden Fortress. But there are a few other similarities that I noticed. For example, in both movies, they have to get something valuable past the enemy and into a secret base or hidden fortress. And General Makabe, the way his character is and the fact that he's a samurai, he's kind of a cross between Han Solo and Obi-Wan Kenobi. But again, the movies are honestly different. I mean, the stories for both movies are completely different. Because Star Wars is a hero's journey, this is more of a escort mission kind of movie. Because there's no Luke Skywalker equivalent, there's no Chewbacca equivalent. We don't even see the villains in this movie, so there's no equivalent to Darth Vader. And also in Star Wars, the valuable item that they need to get to this secret base is something that could be used against the Empire. Here, they just have to get this valuable item to safety. So basically, those are the similarities and differences that I got from watching The Hidden Fortress and Star Wars. So, The Hidden Fortress is a fantastic movie on its own. I mean, putting aside the fact that it helped influence Star Wars, it's a great Kurosawa film, beautifully shot, well scored, well acted. It has great action scenes and camera work. It's a movie that, especially if you're a fan of Japanese film, you have to get off your ass and go see right now. It probably is my third favorite Kurosawa film. It's not quite as iconic as Seven Samurai or as entertaining as Yojimbo, but I would definitely be lying if I said this was not a great movie at all. And that's my review for The Hidden Fortress. And now that we got that out of the way, next week we are reviewing the Star Wars Trilogy. So until then, leave a comment and tell me what you thought of the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? Like, subscribe, share me with your friends. Don't forget to check out my official website, therealmrrobinson.com. And don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, and Periscope. And this is The Real Mr. Robinson telling you there is only one.